Welcome into Sikkim365.com. I'm your host, Grayson Grundhoefer. Today, I am here with Ashley Hodge once again as we continue to break down the Baylor men's basketball roster heading into next season. Today, we're talking about another 2025 recruit that Baylor landed, Blair Academy center Ramon Soyoye. Another big man. They call him Mayo, so I think that's how we're going to refer to him as today. But a big physical prospect, 6'11", 6'10", somewhere in that range, 235 pounds, a very good athlete, a good body to kind of develop and build around, and a guy that kind of fits that mold of a third center or potentially a center of the future for the Bears.
Yeah, 7'4" wingspan. He's got a lot of raw ability. What you love about him is he plays with a lot of effort. Like, he's not a guy that's going to get out there and be embarrassed about his size. Like, he's a guy that's going to really hit the glass hard. He's going to try to dunk everything that he's close to the rim at. He's going to go after a lot of shots. You know, sometimes gets off his feet pretty easily from the tape I looked at. But that's all coachable stuff. You know, you can fix a lot of that. I mean, if you got a guy that plays with a high motor that's 6'10", is hungry, wants to get better, kind of reminds me a little bit of a young Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua, just his energy and the way he attacks the game. You know, Jonathan pre-injury, obviously. I like what I see. I expect him to redshirt this year. I think we are blessed with some really good options out down in the post, including Jesslyn Bodo, Caden Powell, and then Michael Ratai as well. So I don't think you're going to see Mayo get much time. I think he might be a redshirt candidate, but if he takes the approach that I hope he'll take, which I'm confident he will, he could be someone we really rely on next year, and could be a big surprise. And I think he's going to get us better in practice. I mean, high motor guys, if you got a couple guys redshirting, Iguodala, Mayo, possibly Isaac Williams, although I think Isaac Williams is going to play, as we talked about last episode, then, you're really pushing your guys to get better every day. They get better as a result, and it's a virtuous cycle, and it really sets the Baylor program up for good things in the future. We had depth issues last year. We could hardly get enough guys to practice. Obviously went top heavy. Had some guys at the end of the bench that just really weren't expected to ever contribute. This year is a different story. I think some of these guys at the end of the bench, could be contributors this year if needed, but probably really strong contributors in the future.
Real quick, Sawyer Robertson has something to remind you about.
Stay connected to all things green and gold by following all Sikkim365 social media pages, including YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
I mean, Mayo might have had to play last year. I mean, he might have found his way on the court.
Well, they were thinking about playing Giannis Nadanja, and I think Mayo is a better, more athletic prospect than Giannis. So, yeah, I think if he had been on this team last year, he would have played.
Yeah, and Mayo is still, I think, a ways away from being the player that he will be.
Right.
But I think the film is intriguing. And the reasons I say that are because just he wants to dunk everything. He plays with kind of this relentlessness of, I'm going to dunk on you. I'm going to finish on you. I'm going to grab a rebound and go up strong and finish, which is something that I do think does translate to the college level, because there is a motor to that. And there's that aspect of, not giving up on plays. There's a few plays that I've seen in his film where he's completely out of the play and he's able to recover and get a block or recover and get a rebound. And those type of things, I truly don't know that you can coach. I know there's conversations about whether you care or not, but I do think it's kind of in your DNA as a player and your personality. And so I do think that is a big thing that comes with him, is that you can see it. There's a relentlessness. And in practice, it's probably going to drive the coaches crazy at times when he's going up against the starters, because he's going to be very physical and he's going to play really hard and be relentless and push them to get better. But he's also very big and very physical, and a guy who obviously is going to try to block a lot of shots, dunk a lot, but a very good athlete here, great length. It's all the refinement, right? His touch isn't quite there. His jump shot, I have no idea where his jump shot is, but I can't imagine I haven't seen many clips of it being super efficient or seeing very many. So I think that's still a work in progress. And then his frame, just building it out, getting stronger, because he is strong and physical, but there's another level when you get to the college game. And I think he'll get there, though. His frame is pretty impressive already.
Yeah, I mean, if I were him, I would dust off the archives and watch as much Freddie Gillespie film as he can find. Freddie was a guy that was extremely raw when he came to Baylor. I remember vividly watching him play against Ole Miss down in Florida and fumbling passes, traveling every time he touched the ball. And I just remember thinking, this guy's never going to play. I mean, he's so bad. And I mean, he just worked. He outworked everybody and, became a guy that made some money in the NBA and has a pretty lucrative overseas career and became a really good defensive player and a pretty efficient offensive player too. So I think Mayo, can see a path for him. But Freddie Gillespie would be a guy that I would really emulate if I were him, because I see that same rawness when that same long wingspan. Now Freddie was crazy long, like 7'6", and not as tall as Mayo, but some similarities there. And I think it could, with the right work ethic, the right mindset, it could really turn into a great career for him. Hopefully, at Baylor and then professionally as well.
That's what you're hoping for. And I would say that Mayo can make up for some of that lack of length compared to Freddie with probably higher end athleticism as far as vertical athleticism. And this is, once again, we talked about this a little bit with Bodo, but it's that vertical spacing. And Mayo definitely brings that pick and roll game, being able to catch the ball high and dunk it, or catch the ball high and finish with positioning is so important in the college game. Getting those easy layups, getting those easy dunks. And he definitely brings that. I think defensively is kind of where there's just this kind of intriguing upside about, what does this turn into? And Baylor's had so many bigs in the past that have turned into just these awesome rim protectors.
Right.
And so he could be kind of the next one. I'm with you. I fully expect him to redshirt, though. I do. I think this is almost a guaranteed redshirt unless something happens to one of Baylor's big men. But I think right now that seems pretty apparent. I think that would be great for him and for Baylor, for him to get this year to adjust to the college game and then turn into next year and potentially be in your 2 deep at the center position.
Yeah, and we're covering 12 guys on the Baylor basketball roster that we think are going to, have the ability to play, could play this year. Some of these guys that we're talking about recently, probably more for the future. But we also want to give a shout out to the rest of the roster. Guys like Drew Perry, James Guchis, going to be walk-ons, preferred walk-ons. And then also Will Kuykendall, who comes from Arizona, who's going to be, I think, a scholarship player. Those guys, put in the work every day and really help, hone our guys and make them better. So their efforts are not, unnoticed. And I think, I think it's going to be fun to, to watch those guys get some action, in Germany, but also in the season as well. So it's going to be a great journey. Can't wait for it to start. But excited about Mayo and his upside.
Right. And I would just say it's very cool with the walk-ons. These are guys that the fans are going to be cheering for a lot over the next year and being excited when they're able to get on the court, potentially score, obviously get to play in Europe, which is really cool, get an opportunity to actually get minutes potentially there. And so, I think it's always exciting to see the walk-ons, and we don't talk about them very much. So in the off season, I think is the perfect time to just bring up, hey, there's 3 more guys that are going to be on this team. One obviously not going to be a walk-on in Kuykendall, but the other 2 walk-ons, it's going to be a pretty cool experience and pretty cool ride to see them kind of grow with this team as well and help develop them, because that's what walk-ons are all about. And truthfully, over the last year, it's been a little concerning to see, where the walk-on situation is going to go, especially for football. So it's nice to see Baylor still kind of feeding into that.
Yeah, and personal relationship there with Drew Perry. I've known his dad for many, many years and good friends. But I remember Drew coming to Baylor games when he was a little baby, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think it's cool to see Baylor legacies. Really excited about the program. So excited to watch him develop.
Great to hear it. So the those are the walk-ons, and of course, Mayo Soyoye as well, a new addition, the 2025 recruiting class. Ashley and I will be back. We have one more episode left, and then we're going to be done. That's going to be it for the Baylor roster. You won't have to listen to us anymore unless Ashley and I decide to just start talking about what's going on in Europe or any new information that may come out with the men's basketball team. But thanks for listening today. This has been Sikkim365.com.
Join Sikkim 365 Premium on a $1 for 1 month trial to read our experts' notes and insights. Know about high school commits, off-season transfers, coaching staff changes, and so much more before the rest. Also, download the Sikkim 365 app on your iPhone today to get instant notifications of breaking news, read up on the latest inside info, easily interact with other Baylor fans on our forums, and get alerts for anything published by your favorite staff members.